Joining the Nick Wise Show for the second time ever, head coach of the Florida Gators basketball program, Todd Golden, joins us. What's up, Coach? How are you?
What's up, Nick? How are you?
Man, fantastic. Hey, sorry if my producer got a little fanboy on you. He's a huge Gator fan, so when he had the opportunity to talk to you, he was pretty pumped.
Hey, Tim's my boy now. We're great friends, and he got some inside scoop on the Gators, so it worked out for everybody.
All right, we'll have to break that news here in a little bit as we keep getting breaking news on the show. You see Myles Garrett? I don't know if you're a football fan at all, Coach, but Myles Garrett's going to the Rams. The rich keep getting richer.
I did not hear that. What was the deal, though?
It was Jared Verse. Tim, did you say 2 1s?
It's Jared Verse, a 2027 one, and I think still picks being negotiated.
Yeah, so a first-round pick, Jared Verse, and a couple late-round picks as well. So a lot.
That's a lot. I was going to say, I don't know much about football, but that sounds like a lot.
So the reason Coach Todd Golden joining us today, the inaugural Orion 180 Tip-Off Classic was officially announced. You guys are coming back to Benchmark International Arena. I still make that mistake. November 2nd, you guys are going to take on the Miami Hurricanes, and this is going to be your first game of the year next year, and you guys come back to play your first game of the season where you played your final game of the season last year. Is that game against Iowa, do you think that's on the veterans' mind when you come back into this arena and you kick off the season? Do you kind of look back to last year, or is everything kind of looking on the season ahead?
No, I wish I was mature enough to say we're looking forward and that nothing in the past will matter, but definitely the way our season ended. Last year losing in the second round to Iowa will still be fresh on our minds, and in a weird way, I think it'll be great to restart our season in Benchmark where it ended last year and exercise those demons a little bit.
Todd Golden on the Nick Wise Show this afternoon. I got to ask you, because there was a man who went viral in the stands of that game. I don't know if you got to see, being part of the game. You might not see as much of the broadcast, but did you see the dude that just looked not human with the massive arms? He looked like a bodybuilder, and he was the huge Gator fan. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I absolutely know who you're talking about.
All right, do you know who that guy is? Because that's been like the mystery. Nobody knows who he is.
So I don't know the gentleman's name, but I do know that it is a close family friend of Tommy Haugh, believe it or not, from the Pennsylvania area.
That makes a lot of sense because everyone's blown. They're like, "Who is this guy?" And then he was at the Iowa game, and then he was always wearing somebody else's gear as the tournament went along. And I think he had already bought his tickets for the next round, and then, sadly, you guys weren't there. So you mentioned how you get him and Chinyelu back. They're staying another year in this era of college basketball with so much movement. The Gators are able to probably retain, their talent more than most schools in the country. How do you do that with today's environment of college basketball?
It's a combination of a lot of factors, and the most important being like Florida's an incredible school. To be able to attend. It's a top 5 public institution in America with the best athletic program, in America, and so our guys. We recruit a certain type of student athlete, and we want guys to value the educational piece, which all 3 of our guys do. I'm throwing Kondo in that mix because he could have left to play in the NBA as well. All 3 will be graduating this spring from Florida, and all 3 of those guys, I think, simply had a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth the way the season ended, and wanted to play one last year together. And we tried to foster a team-first environment, within our program, and we want people to play for the front of the jersey as opposed to the back. And when you have all these factors that go together, along with a really strong, rev share and NIL support, it gives guys opportunities to have choices on the paths they want to take and whether they want to go to the NBA or finish their, undergraduate degree in college. And we're fortunate that we have great relationships with these guys, and they want to finish out their career the right way.
Now, when you find out you're getting your veterans back on this team, and of course expectations are going to be high, what's that news like? Is that a relief for you? Like, does it ease up on does it change things the way you have to recruit going on forward? Like, how does it feel when you get that call? Like, hey, coach, I'm coming back for my senior year. Let's go try to win a championship.
It's a great feeling, as you can imagine. We felt like Tommy, for example, it was going to be a challenge with the great season that he had, and the fact that he had built his, resume and stock in the NBA up really high to where he was being considered as a mid-first round pick. But again, Tommy's an incredibly unique guy with a great family who values education and understood the opportunity that was in front of him at Florida. So getting him back was a huge plus and a great bonus for us. And I throw Ruben in that same category because Ruben could have left and played in the NBA. But getting Ruben back and getting that solidification in the middle of our or solidifying the middle of our defense and our toughness in the paint, and just having all three of these front court players who have had great success in the SEC, getting them back along with Boogie and Denzel and some of our returners, it just gives us that continuity that is needed, to have great seasons.
Talking to Todd Golden, head coach of the Florida Gators basketball program, on the subject of recruiting, because that's kind of where we are right now. It is the off season. How valuable is high school recruiting these days? I see a team like LSU. They're not adding any high school kids. They're only using the portal. I think one of the kids is going to be like 26 years old by the time the season starts. And then you watch Michigan win a championship with a bunch of guys who, were really veteran college players that came from other programs. Is high school recruit, do you still go to high schools and try to recruit kids out of high school, or is it mostly the transfer portal?
I think it's a balance, and every year it's going to be different for us. And I think each individual program, has to kind of evaluate every year what makes most sense, for their program. Like for us, for example, last year we got two great high school players, CJ Ingram and Alex Lloyd. But you need to find the right high school guy, because when you have a program, like we do at Florida, where we're playing at a high level and we're competing for championships, it's really hard, for young freshmen, and both those guys were young, to come in and play a lot and impact in a way needed, to win at a national championship level. But I credit both those guys for their maturity, their understanding, their willingness to delay, gratification to come in and learn. And both those guys are going to be great Gators and play roles for us, as we move forward. But it's hard to recruit the guy that needs to play a lot right away and is concerned about those things, because it doesn't always mesh with winning. So I think high school recruiting is still very, very important, and it's still going to be something that's important to our program. If you look at who we've had success with, Tommy Houck, Alex Condon, Isaiah Brown, Lloyd, Ingram, all these guys were high school recruits, but they were all our type of guys, and we'll continue to try to find those guys in the high school ranks.
Coach Todd Golden of the Florida Gators joining us right now, and the reason we got you on the phone today, the inaugural Orion 180 tip-off is going to be here before you know it, Monday, November 2nd, Benchmark International Arena. I don't know if you've seen the press release at all, Coach, but it says the number 1 Florida Gators will be taking on the number 21 Miami Hurricanes. I'm not sure where these rankings come from, but clearly expectations are high. People think you guys have a good team. Any way too early rankings I've seen, I have seen you guys anywhere from 1 to 3. Do you like going into a season ranked that high, or is it easier when maybe you're a little bit lower in the expectations? I mean, look, it's Florida, so the expectations are always high, but do you like going into a season knowing you're number 1, or do you prefer to be a little bit lower?
With this specific team, we don't mind the expectation. These guys, a majority of these guys have played in high leverage, basketball games for the past 2 years. So, going into the season with pressure and expectation, it's not going to be new to them. It's not going to be something that they're uncomfortable with. And, at a certain point when you're building your program and you're able to get it to this level, you have to sustain it. And so we got to be willing to play with that pressure. We look at it as a privilege. We're getting these opportunities to play in these great games, like the Orion 180 Classic, where we're going to play a top 20 Miami team to open up the season. We're going to get marquee games in the SEC, ACC Challenge. We're getting to play in the Players Era. These opportunities are coming to us because of the type of team that people think we have. And so we got to take advantage of it, and we have to welcome those expectations, and we have to continue to play at a high level.
Yeah, you mentioned the Player Eras tournament, which is going to be out in Vegas. You got Notre Dame, Houston, Rutgers, Auburn, Kansas, UNLV, West Virginia, some really good programs. Playing in tournaments like that early season, that help prepare you guys, make things a little bit, obviously nothing's easy in March, but maybe a little bit easier in March and kind of get you that tournament experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And not only for the tournament, but as you saw last year, I think it helps us prepare really well for SEC play. We played our best basketball of the year last year in those 18 league games, and we played as well as anybody. And I believe it was a direct correlation to the fact that we opened up against Arizona and played Duke on the road and played UConn at Madison Square Garden. We were used to playing in tough, raucous environments against good teams, and we want to continue to prepare ourselves to compete for SEC championships. And as you mentioned, hopefully continued deep runs in the NCAA tournament, and playing some of those non-conference games against elite teams do that.
Talking to Todd Golden, the head coach of the Florida Gators on the Nick Wise Show. Last question for you, Coach, and I'll let you get out of here as you guys get prepared. Well, are you in Tampa right now? Is that you're doing the press tour, the press conference?
Yes, we did a press conference at Benchmark earlier today.
The Orion 180 Tip-Off Classic, which is going to be Monday, November 2nd. You guys are going to take on the Miami Hurricanes. It also involves the Florida State Seminoles taking on the Florida A&M Rattlers. Last question, I'll get you out on this. Which player on your last time I ended the interview with who on your team was the best trash talker. This time I want to ask you, which player on your roster will make a great head coach one day?
Wow, which player on a roster will make a great head coach? That's a great question. I think we have a number of guys, that could potentially go that route. I'm gonna throw a wild one out there. I'm gonna say Urban Klavjar has a chance to be a great coach one day if that's the angle that he wants to go.
There we go. Todd Golden, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We look forward to seeing the Gators tip off the season here in Tampa November 2nd. Appreciate your time this afternoon, and good luck next season. All right, Coach?
I appreciate it, Nick. Thanks a lot, and have a great summer.
Yep, we'll talk to you soon. You too. That is Todd Golden, head coach of the Florida Gators. All right, when we get back, we'll wrap up the show. We'll talk about the Myles Garrett trade. What would it have taken for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get involved, and should they have gotten involved?